international best practice, which is risk-based auditing, I think it's probably inappropriate in Nigeria. But I think it's interesting. I mean, my background is in internal audit. I've come across areas where it certainly hasn't worked. But develop your management skills, so hopefully it will make you think about the area, how that relates to the management theory, perhaps that you're learning in the other modules, but ideally it be of practical value, perhaps practical value for your organisation. So, is it you who was working at Etisalat? Yes, sorry. Yes. So I mean, you were talking about that was the impact of portability of telephone numbers between different mobile providers. So clearly, well, I don't know, but I mean, that seems to be quite important for Etisalat as a major mobile service provider in Nigeria. The portability of mobile numbers is a recent change, so what impact may that have seems to be good. So that, certainly from that perspective, that seems to be a very good, I mean, it's focused, so you're looking at a very particular aspect. It's a new development, the portability of mobile telephone numbers, therefore it seems to me as important to Etisalat and the other major providers in Nigeria, but it also academically relevant. So you've got to link that to the general theories in terms of, I don't know, customer loyalty or something. I don't really know anything about marketing, but so somehow you've got to relate the specifics of, I think it's an excellent starting point. You've identified a real, relevant, current issue. I mean, in a sense, that's quite a difficult one. So you've done, in a sense, quite difficult. The next challenge is, how do you find the academic, theoretical underpinnings for that? In terms of, broader views, perhaps, like I said, in terms of customer loyalty. So I assume there is an academic literature on that. So how does that relate to the specific issues that you're talking about? Okay, so why do we do that? I mean, the starting point is a very brief outline of what you're going to look at, how you're going to look at it. So why do we do that? Well, it's a school of management, and perhaps specifically for your tutor to know that your project is achievable, and for you to be confident that your project will pass. So it's got to be an appropriate topic, a particular area, how you look at that, sorting out the basic ideas, what you're going to look at, how you're going to look at it, what at least a good starting point in terms of identifying the basic academic literature in the area that you're looking at, making sure that you've identified that. I think are all important starting points. So it's making sure that you're setting off in the right direction. Ensuring focus. So you're writing down in summary form what you're going to look at, how you're going to do it. So you've got a clear focus for your research. The methods are appropriate. I mean, you've got to think very carefully, I think, in terms of the practicality of your research. As I said, you've got a relatively small amount of time, especially for you. Most of you have also got full-time jobs, so you've got to work around the pressures of that. So you don't have so much time, so you've got to think about whether it's practical. Is the topic, is that too big? the methods that you've adopted. I mean, I don't know, in terms of like the hotels, I mean, to what extent can you go round and directly assess the quality of hotels in Abuja? I don't know. I mean, you need to think about your methodology and how you're going to do it. Is it basically looking at the literature, or is it can it be a very practical approach in terms of visiting hotels and assessing the quality of their services? I mean, the second one clearly is a lot more time consuming, and really I think you have to question, is that actually possible in the time scale that you want to complete the dissertation and given the constraints of your time, for example. So methods are appropriate. Research has not been done previously, so it's the same. The PhD, one of the challenges is finding an area that has not, a specific area that has not been researched before. And hotels in Abuja, a good one, probably not been the subject of academic research before, but there is a wider global, probably, academic research. So that's quite a good one. So it's relating the general research to the sector to the specifics of here and now in Abuja. Research is worthwhile, so it's going to have some sort of value beyond perhaps just academic interest. You have the skills to conduct the research, so hopefully you know something about the area. That's why I would suggest that doing it seems obvious, but doing the research on something here and now is better than, I don't know, the history of the development of hotel sector in Britain. It's very difficult. You've probably never been to Britain, so it's not a good starting point. So, and I'm supervising some mainly Chinese students on an MSc course at the university, and a number of them wanted to look at the sort of changes on the London Stock Exchange or something. And I said, look, you come from China. China has 3 major stock exchanges. Why on earth do you want to look at the London one? Also, tons of research on the London one. So finding something that's not been done before, almost impossible. You look at the Shanghai Stock Exchange, easy. Probably very little. It's a big stock exchange now, so probably some academic research, but much easier and much more relevant for you. The point is you're learning, isn't it? And you're learning, hopefully, for your future career. Is your future career going to be in London? Probably not. Probably not for these Chinese students. It may well be in Shanghai. So why not get some background information? Learn relevant information. So do it about, do it about something in Nigeria, I would suggest. If you're thinking about doing something not in Nigeria, you have to have very good reasons why. And even within Nigeria, if you're based in Abuja, based in the FCT, why are you doing it about Cross River? Why make it difficult for yourself? You're here. Do it in Abuja. It's much easier to do the research about here and now in Abuja. And hopefully that will be more relevant for you. It may be, you come from Cross River, you're intending to go back to Cross River, so maybe, for you, looking at whatever it is in Cross River is more relevant. But think about what you want to do, make it relevant and work, make the whole exercise worthwhile for you and your future career, and also, relate it. What do you know about? If some of you were born and brought up in Abuja, so do it about Abuja. That's a good starting point. You know a lot more about Abuja than Kano or somewhere, or London or New York. So do it, make it easy. Don't make it difficult for yourself. What do you know about? What are you interested in? Do that, not something else. Yes. So the proposal, the starting point is, I don't know, well, about 2,000 words is suggested, so perhaps 2 to 4 page outline of your research. Very much summary idea of what area do you want to research. Said initial literature review, so it should be beginning to identify some of the major references on the topic you're looking at. What are you going to do? How are you going to do the research? Are you going to go around and interview people? Are you going to have a questionnaire? You're going to look up and analyse publicly available data. Is it publicly available? I mean, one of the challenges, in a sense, the other side of doing it about Abuja is, it is quite challenging. So, as I said, one of the bits I'm trying to do is look at internal audit in the public sector. Now, I've got some background in that, so that's good. It is quite difficult, I didn't realise how difficult it was going to be, to start that. In May, I started to try and get access to the Audit Monitoring Directorate in the Office of the Accountant General. What I've got to have is an interview with the current, or a meeting with the current Accountant General to get permission to talk to the Director of Audit Monitoring and his staff. We're now in September. I started this in May. I do not have that permission. So it can be difficult. And, you know more how difficult it can be. So take that into consideration. If I'd been doing that for a dissertation, like the students I'm supervising, their deadline was the 28th of August. So I started the fieldwork in May. In May, I had 10 days in Abuja, and I hoped I would be able to get some fieldwork done. We're now, we're in September, beyond the 28th of August deadline for the dissertation, and I have got nowhere. I haven't even got the initial permission to start the fieldwork. So, in terms of a dissertation with that deadline, that would have been a complete and utter disaster. So that's part of what you're doing in the proposal. Is it really going to be possible? And as I said, it can be difficult, and you have to be careful about that. How will you do it? How are you going to access the literature and information? Is it publicly available? Again, it can be difficult. So, as an example, Edo State produces quarterly budget outturn reports, and it said words to the effect in big letters is written across it as top secret. It's not publicly available. In Abuja, at least summary information is published on a quarterly basis for Lagos State Government. So you have to be careful that the information you're hoping to look at is actually going to be available to you. Will you have the time and references for that. So this is the structure. So you need a title to say in broad terms what you're going to do, introduction, the research questions, objectives, relationship to the existing research, so some research in terms of the academic literature of your subject, as I said, trying to identify the major papers, books, so on that you need for your particular area, your proposed methods, how you're going to do the research, what you're going to do, and why. At least think about why you're going to do it, and make it interesting. So, I mean, a number of the Chinese students were looking at capital structure, and I mean, one of the things I was suggesting is look at an interesting period. So maybe did the 2008 financial crisis, or financial crisis in the West at least, did that have an impact on capital structure in China? So find an interesting time, because you don't see change, and that's interesting perhaps, is something happens, so the sector, the area you're looking at changes. So portability of mobile phone numbers, clearly the introduction of portability, so it's much easier, I think now, to change your provider and keep the same telephone number. That's a major change. So, what was happening before that to what is happening now, I think is interesting. So the time period you need to look at, I mean, in one sense it needs to be now, so you look at 2015, but that may be fairly boring. Nothing may have happened. So 2008, banking crisis and so on, if you're doing anything related to that, around that period, what happened before 2008 compared to what happened after 2008 might be interesting. But there's lots of things. So, change of government this year, very significant event in the history of Nigeria, I would suggest. So, if you're looking at corruption, for example, or perceptions of corruption or something, maybe pre-May 2015 compared to post-May 2015, change. So what happened? What impact did that have? We've got the government coming in, major anti-corruption policy. Has that, in fact, changed things? I mean, that's an interesting. What happened between 2012, 2014? Much less interesting, perhaps. So, what are we going to look at? Why? And how are we going to do it? Why have you chosen that method? Why have you chosen that time period? And then reflection. So think about it. Is it really practical? Can you really do it? It's like my study. At what point do you decide it's not really going to happen? How many months do you have to keep on ringing people up? Any chance of seeing your accountant general today, this week? No. Bring back next Tuesday. I'm away this week. Or, as I had earlier this week, with the Director of Consolidated Accounts, hi Salawu, how are you? Oh, I'm fine, but I'm on leave. I'm in Britain this week. Can you ring me back next week? So it's got to be. Is it really practical? And it's difficult because you've got to predict the problems you're going to have and try and find answers to it. Is it ethical? Hopefully. How does it relate to the academic research? Timetable. So do you have a realistic timetable? I mean, especially for you, you've got full-time jobs. How are you going to fit that in? How much time can you realistically dedicate doing this work each week. And then some of the main references. So a total of 2,000 words, so very, very short, really. And then this is sort of breaking that down, giving more. This is the general guidance from the School of Management. So title, make it relevant and interesting, hopefully. Introduction. So statement of your research question. So just trying to be very clear what it is that you're looking at, and what is your hypothesis, what is your working idea, and then perhaps some subsidiary questions to that around the detail of the topic. Why is the question interesting and relevant to you, to the general academic community, to people working in the particular area that you're looking in? Relation to previous research is like starting of your literature review. So previous research, the related areas. Proposed methods. So you've got to think about exactly what you're going to look at, but how are you going to look at it. And why. So not just I'm going to do a questionnaire or whatever to these people, but why? Why is the questionnaire the most suitable approach? And be clear about the data sources. So if you're going to look at comparisons of budgeted and actual expenditure in state governments in Nigeria, in the southwest geopolitical zone, do you have access to suitable data? Is it publicly available? Check that. Don't just assume that it may be available. Is it really available to you? How up to date is it? And does it actually provide the detail that you will need for your research?
So I have a question.
Yes, good, wonderful, well done.
I noticed when you were having a conversation with that gentleman over there about his topic, and then how his supervisor was asking him to make it more broad, that he should go into other African countries, and you suggested to him that what's the point? After all, Nigeria is the biggest economy. Now, how, when you have to deal with a supervisor, how can you try to convince the supervisor that this is the way I want to do it? Because in his own case now, I don't know what will be the challenge. I don't know how he's going to put it across to the supervisor that this is how best I do it. Will it affect his subsequent work? Because if he tries to convince, or he tells the supervisor this is how I want to do it, will the supervisor be willing to still guide him on it?
Well, yes, but the supervisor is also the first marker on the dissertation. So, yes, I mean, ideally you have either got to accept what your supervisor says, it's sort of possibly from one aspect is the easy option, or come to some sort of compromise. I mean, I was suggesting that you focus on Nigeria, that's enough, but like you can refer, so your case study, I was looking at monetary policy in Nigeria, some sort of time period we didn't talk about, but that you refer to, so Nigeria did this, whereas Ghana did that, or South Africa did something else. So in a sense it's a compromise. So you're taking on board what your tutor's saying, but no, it's your dissertation in the end, and it is only the guidance suggestion from your tutor. So, I mean, you have to decide.
I have a question.
Yes, good.
Okay. Personally, I'm taking my electives in MBA. Now, if I want to choose my research topic, must I streamline them to my area for specialism?
No,
So I can go.
you do anything. Yeah, I mean, very, very open. Do anything you like, really. It's kind of something sort of related to,
Where I'm studying.
yeah, but the whole MBA area, so it's huge, isn't it? It's almost anything. You can relate almost anything.
Then secondly, I know critical analysis is an art of project write-up. So in analyzing your case studies, can you draw examples from other areas of maybe other areas of, let me say, from other industries to analyze your case studies?
Yes. But obviously it has to be relevant. And I mean, it can lose focus. I mean, I think a good dissertation is a focus on a small area. So like a couple of examples we had, small hotels in Abuja, the quality of the service provision. It's a nice, tight thing. I mean, if you start referring to service quality in New York, it may not be relevant. You talk about, you talk about outside the hotel industry, it begins to lose focus. So I would say, be careful. Keep it focused. Is it really relevant? What are you talking about? What's your question? Is it really related to that? And the same with customer loyalty in the situation of being able to change provider and keep your own telephone number. But again, very good, very focused. I mean, possibly, I don't know. I mean, it could be perhaps too focused. I don't know. I mean, there has to be an adequate academic literature, at least related to that. So, I mean, in broad terms, the answer is yes. But on the other hand, yes, you can do it anything, and you can refer to anything as examples. But it's better to have it more focused, a tighter dissertation that is looking at an area, and that you're really beginning to have a good appreciation and understanding of that particular area. So, hotel quality in New York, is it really relevant for Abuja? Not sure. So different area, different lots of things. So you want to, and it's a difficult one because you've got to have enough references to show that you have read the academic literature on the subject. So you've got to pick an area that's big enough to have an academic literature, but to keep the focus as well. But I would suggest, focus is probably more important as a starting point. You can find a broader academic literature related to the broader area, if necessary. Yes.
Okay, I just got the feedback from the proposal, and one of the comments was that my theoretical framework was not detailed enough. And I was wondering what exactly that was, because yes, literature review, and I was wondering if I perceive literature review is the same thing with the theoretical framework the marker was talking about.
Sorry?
If the literature review is the same thing, the theoretical framework he was talking about.
Well, they're not quite the same. I mean, you should be able to get a theoretical framework from the literature review. So that there may be different views on the topic area. So we talk about monetary policy in Nigeria. I mean, there are different economic schools of thought. So there's the sort of monetarist, neoliberal views, there are Keynesian views, there are Marxist views of the broader macroeconomic policy. And then you can say, well, this reference is talking from the monetary school of economics. This is from the Keynesian